Alright, so today I just kind of wanted to talk about hip-hop in general, just like some things I think about hip-hop. Just talk about some stuff real quick. First off, let's talk about DJs. Alright, to me, a lot of these dudes out here, dudes, females, whatever they may be, that call themselves a DJ these days, like, they aren't. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, like, if you go back to the true definition of what that is, like, it's supposed to be somebody that scratch. Like, you know what I mean? Unless you're a radio DJ, that's different. But I mean, like, a lot of these cats, like, they don't even know how to scratch. Like, if you are like an electro DJ, like a dubstep DJ or something like that, then yeah, like I would consider that a DJ because you know, like that requires a lot of skill, the stuff they do. But I'm talking about these cats that like they either just make beats, or either that, or they straight up just like host mixtapes and they get on the songs and just talk. You know, that's not a DJ. You know, like I don't find that to be a real DJ. Like I got respect for all these people out there that still keep it old school. You know what I mean? Like they can still get on the turntables and scratch. To me, that's what a DJ is. But that's just my personal opinion on it. Next, I want to talk about old school hip hop versus the stuff we got out now. You know, like things change over time, so we can't really. You can compare it to old school because that's where everything started, but you can't really like, you can compare, but it's at the same time, you know what I mean? Like things have changed, the times have changed, technology has changed, like the sound that people go for has changed, so it's not that, like I think we have a lot of real hip hop, but it's just that like the nonsense music tends to overshadow it because that's what's on the radio, that's what everybody hears, you know, unless you like, you're a hip-hop head and you actually go look for like the real music there is out there, like you won't know, you know, just judging by the radio and stuff. But honestly, I think like the pureness of hip-hop is returning a lot, like a lot of artists we have today, like J. Cole, I think is pretty dope, like Wale, like, you know, then you got Common and like Nas still around. There's like a lot of dope artists out there. They got Elzhi, they just got like hella people. I could list people forever, you know, underground artists that we have. So the whole hip hop is dead thing, I never really bought into that. I thought that's like, if hip hop is dead, then I mean literally like every MC that still spits something relevant would have to be dead. You know what I mean? Like radio is dead, you know, but that's been that way forever. Also, I just wanted to talk about the negativity that people throw towards hip hop. I think people just do this thing where they just want to play the blame game pretty much. You know, kids are out there in the hood killing each other, doing all this stuff, but instead of saying like this is the parents' fault, this is whatever, they want to blame hip hop, which it bothers me, but at the same time I look at it this way. If you want to go back to the times in like the 20s, I mean, people thought jazz was the devil. People thought if you listen to jazz, or if you're a musician that does jazz music, you were the devil, you going to hell. The music was just really bad music is what they thought, you know. And now jazz is like up there with the types of music that is pretty much accepted by everybody, that people just generally like the music. You feel me? So like I feel like this is just hip hop's turn to take that, you know, as new music comes along, it's always gonna be people that don't like it and think it's terrible for whatever reason. And you know, to the untrained ear, a lot of the stuff that is said in hip-hop music can be looked at as negative, but you gotta put the shoe on the other foot. You gotta think like, well, put yourself in the situation. Yeah, like if you never had to really struggle or, you know, be in a situation that is similar to the things that these hip-hop artists speak on in their songs, then you wouldn't quite understand. But you have to try to like put yourself in the situation. I mean, like, first of all, a lot of these cats are talking about selling drugs, you know, violence, like a lot of stuff like that, but you gotta realize like they're not doing that anymore. Hip-hop and music was what took them away from that. So, you know, and like it's a good thing, you know what I'm saying? Like they were out there selling drugs, doing this and that, but you look at it, they use poetry and music to turn that around, and now they're not doing that anymore. My take on it is that people just need to be more open-minded and try to put themselves in the other person's shoes. Half the time, all these rappers, they're telling kids not to do that. They're not telling kids to go do what they did. They just simply like sharing their story. Like they just want people to know. Think about NWA. Like back in the day when NWA came out, still to this day, that's like repulsive to a lot of people. I think NWA was innovators. Like I think everybody in that group, they were all innovators because they opened up the doors for hip-hop artists to be able to pretty much say whatever they want. You know what I mean? When hip-hop first started, it was more on like a funk-based type music, and they were just spitting over it. It was like it was to dance to. Like hip-hop used to be dance music, and then it started becoming about these artists just trying to tell their story. They're trying to tell people what it's like in the hood, people that didn't know. And you know, like a lot of these people were just so surprised and repulsed by the things they were saying, the music videos they were putting out and stuff like that, because they straight up like didn't know that was going on. They didn't know about all the police brutality in the hood and all the other crazy stuff that was going on, because they just never had to deal with that. You know what I'm saying? So they were so just taken back by it that, you know, of course, here's the opportunity to use hip-hop as a scapegoat and say, like, that, you know, that has to do with America's youth being so whatever we are. And I just don't really like that, because you listen to any, like, not any, but like a lot of rock and roll songs, a lot of, just every genre of music has that same stuff in it, you feel me? Like, it's not just hip-hop. My opinion, if you don't want your kids listening to it, don't let them listen to it. And, you know, that goes for, like, TV. They got rock music talking about snorting coke, you know what I'm saying? Like, doing crazy stuff, prostitutes. So I think music in general can be really negative, and I think the difference with hip-hop is that, you know, it started off with black people trying to tell a story, trying to be heard and express the things they were going through. They're not telling people that that's a lifestyle that they should live. They don't recommend it for other people. They was just saying, like, you know, this is my story, this is what I'm saying. And there's a way of self-expression, form of self-expression that they never had before. So to me, that's what it is. And, you know, people just need to be a little bit more open-minded. Hypothetically, if there was somebody who had never heard of hip-hop, any person, like, you could take a really old person that just don't like hip-hop at all, pretty much any hip-hop song, the music incorporated into it is like orchestra music. That you can incorporate any type of music into hip-hop, and I don't know any other genre that can mesh well with every genre of music. You know what I mean? Like, hip-hop can mesh well with anything. I've heard hip-hop mixed with every type of music that there is out there. You can mix hip-hop with a pop feel to it. You can mix hip-hop with country. You can mix hip-hop with rock. You can, like, hardcore rock. You can mix it with alternative rock. You can do whatever you want with hip-hop. You can mix it with blues. You can mix it with R&B. Any type of genre of music you can think of. There's no genre of music that a rapper couldn't spit over. You know what I mean? Like, there's no a true hip hop artist, like, they can rap over just a simple acoustic guitar playing, no drums. They can rap over just the drum beat. They can rap over anything. You know what I mean? Hip hop is poetry. It's just putting poetry to music. So that means that it can go to any type of music. Now, I realize that you can argue this and say that a lot of other people's lyrics can do that too, but I think hip-hop is the most versatile in the fact that when you listen to hip-hop instrumentals, if you really sit there and listen to the instrumental, there's so many things going on. There's, like, guitars, and there's, like, orchestra music almost. It's like an orchestra in a lot of these songs. It's so intricate that I think hip-hop is like the universal music to me now. Like, so many people would disagree with that because they just hate on hip-hop, but if you really sit down and think about it, and if you really listen to some instrumentals with like an open mind, and you really listen, you'd be like, wow, this is kind of like if you just listen to an instrumental by itself, you know, without knowing what hip-hop was, without that stigma that people have towards hip hop, you'd be like, wow, this is beautiful, you know. But people just dog on hip hop, so they don't take the time to try to look at it from that point of view. A lot of people who aren't really like big on hip hop don't understand that, like, I can't speak for everybody, but to me, if you're a hip hop artist and you don't write your own music, then you're not a hip hop artist. You see what I'm saying? Like, if you're a singer, the thing is, your voice is the instrument itself. Your voice is the music, if you're a singer. So singers who don't write their own music, like, that's okay, because they're not saying they're a songwriter, they're a singer, and that is in itself the skill, is to sing. You know, if you write your own music and you're a singer, that's just a plus. That just makes you look better. Now, being a hip hop artist, that's way different. Usually, like, the actual music is made by somebody else, you know what I mean? Like the beat. But like, the words, that's the art that you're saying that you do. When you say you're a hip hop artist, you're saying that you created those words, that you're telling the story in those lyrics. So I don't understand, like, why, you know, they got ghostwriters and they got all that, and to me that's just that you're not a hip hop artist if you don't write your own music, because then it's not your music. You see what I'm saying? That would be like, for all those who don't know, rap doesn't mean rap like some noise or something stupid like that. It stands for rhythm and poetry. Now, that would be like me, if I didn't write my own music, that would be like if I went to, like, open mic poetry night somewhere and straight up read somebody else's poem that somebody else wrote, and they gave me the poem, and here I am getting praise for it, and I'm getting recognition acting like it's my poetry, when really I'm just reading it, and that requires no skill at all but to be able to read. You see what I'm saying? That, to me, that's how I look at the situation. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. If you're a hip-hop artist and you don't write your own music, I mean, you're not a hip-hop artist. Stop telling people that. And the reason I mention that is because I realize a lot of people don't know that. Like, a lot of people come up to me and they're like, man, did you write that? Like, yeah, you know, like, who else would have wrote it? I don't understand how they would think somebody else wrote my music, because then it wouldn't be mine, it would be someone else's music. That's just my take on it. But I do realize that a lot of people, like, they're not really savvy to, like, the world of hip-hop and what it's all about, so they wouldn't really understand that as a hip-hop artist, you don't do that. You know, some people do that, but that leads me into, like, my next thing I was going to talk about, which is females in hip-hop. A lot of people, like, you know, if you're a chick, you can rap, and they like what you're saying, automatically they don't think you wrote it. Just music in general, hip-hop, but just the world of music and as a whole is male dominated, and so as a female, you know, there's just it's difficult no matter what genre of music you do, because the way the music industry is, they're gonna want you to, most likely they're gonna want you to disrespect yourself unless you do like Christian music. So to me, like, there's a line that has to be drawn there, because people are doing it, and that's why they're messing it up for everybody else. You know, there's a lot of artists that I think it's okay, like, you can be a beautiful woman and do music, and you can be sexy, but in a respectable way. You know what I mean? Like, if your family would turn on the TV, I'm talking about a normal family, not a crazy ass family that doesn't care about morals. If your family and, like, your grandparents couldn't turn on the TV and see your video and they would be embarrassed because you're, like, half dressed, you shouldn't do it. You feel me? Like, you know, you gotta be tasteful, is what I'm saying. Like, that's trashy to me. That's just how I was raised, and that's just my views on it. But that takes away from the music to me. To me, like, when you do all that, that means you're covering up for a lack of talent. And to me, like, if your talent is there, your talent should speak for itself. You shouldn't have to go on stage half naked. You could go on stage covered in a damn blanket, and people would want to listen to what you're saying, because what you're saying is relevant and it's thought-provoking, and people are enjoying listening to what you telling about your life. You feel me? So, like, I just feel like female rappers ought to respect themselves more. Like, as a hip hop artist, I look up to Lauryn Hill, like Queen Latifah, MC Lyte, people like that, because they respect themselves. They were beautiful women, but at the same time, they was rapping with the best of the mid. You know what I mean? To me, as far as the Fugees go, Lauryn Hill was the top dog in the Fugees. She was the Fugees. It was, when I listened to the Fugees, it was more like Lauryn Hill featuring Wyclef and Pras, because she was the coldest one in the group. She could sing, she could rap, she's an actress, like, and her lyrics, like, you know, she's telling how it is, and you know, she was telling a good story, but and at the same time, like I said, she was a beautiful person, and you know, she let that be seen, and she was still carried herself well, but she wasn't on stage like half naked, you know, doing all this crazy stuff. To me, that's just to me, a lot of these chicks only do that because they feel like they have to, but I feel like if the movement was more, if more people would give it the movement of just respecting yourself as a female artist, I'm not even just talking about female MCs, I'm talking about in any genre of music, it would be easier for the rest of us, because then it wouldn't be expected of us anymore. Also, earlier I forgot to mention about the whole hip hop is dead thing. I just think music in general is, how do I say it? Just like music in general just sucks right now. Not all of it, I mean like on the radio. Every genre of music has somebody screwing it up, so it's not like hip hop is dead. You know, like, you want to look at it, like, I listen to a lot of country. Country is dead to me. If you listen to like Taylor Swift and stuff like that, like, to me Taylor Swift isn't country. I like Taylor Swift, but that's like, it's country with like a huge pop twist to it. More pop than country, you know what I'm saying? A lot of these rock bands out there, I listen to rock, but I'm not, you know, you know, like a rock guru. I'm not really like, I'm not into it like where I know a lot about it, but you know, if you ask a rock fan, someone who's that rock is their favorite genre of music, if you was to even call some of these rock, these bands they have on the radio, they wouldn't even consider that rock. If you would call it rock, they would be upset with you. You know what I mean? So I think every music is being kind of ruined by the radio. That doesn't mean that the real version of it doesn't still exist, but that means the radio is killing what people perceive as real hip hop, real rock, real country, you know what I mean? Real blues, whatever you want to go into. Last thing I want to talk about is gimmicks. I went to the studio one time, and like this guy Cody, he was telling me every artist has a gimmick, and I was like thinking to myself, man, whatever, I don't have a gimmick. But you know, I started to look at it more and think about what he said, and like every artist pretty much does have a gimmick. I was just thinking about it, like if you look at Currency, Wiz Khalifa, their gimmicks are that they're like they're the weed artists, you know, like Cypress Hill, Cottonmouth Kings, all those people, like Devin the Dude, they make stoner music and that's what they do. Then a lot of these people, like, you know, you could argue that some people don't have a gimmick, but then to me that is their gimmick, is that they don't have one. Take Nas and Common for example. Nas and Common are still around, but they're hip-hop gurus, you know what I mean? Those are legends. So their gimmick is that they are like sticking to their old school roots, like Q-Tip, you know? They're sticking to those roots of how hip-hop was, you know what I mean? In like the 80s and the 90s, and like the purity of it. So that is their gimmick, that they don't have one, and that they're sticking to the pureness of it. So you can look at any artist from any genre of music, and they have a gimmick, and that's what makes them the artists they are. I don't know why I mentioned that, I just thought that was interesting to think about. You know, you can look at any artist, like Drake, I think his gimmick is that, you know, more directed towards females, because he makes music for girls, pretty much, you know, if that makes sense. A lot of guys I know at least don't like Drake because they think he's like too sensitive, and he like always is just like crying about some girl, but girls like buy into that more. Like, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. But if you haven't heard my music, go check it out, MoBlackMusic.com. Follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/MoBlackMusic. Go like my music page on Facebook, Facebook.com/MoBlackMusic, and follow me on Tumblr if you have one, because that'll be where you can see a lot of my hip hop discussions. I do like music reviews on new albums, and I just post like stuff from underground artists that I enjoy listening to, stuff like that. So pay attention to that. Peace.